Guys, back again with another week of Hit the Books. Just me here on the cast today. The rest of the boys are getting ready here for a good week 14 slate. We have some great matchups here for you this week as we look towards the playoffs here to see how everything is going to be shaping up. Our first game that we're going to dive into is an AFC North battle between two teams tied atop the division right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers heading to the Baltimore Ravens. Both teams coming off of tough weeks last week and looking to right the ship here and get back in the win column. The Baltimore Ravens are coming in at 6-point favorites this week. Lamar Jackson and co. looking to get back in the win column after taking a tough Thanksgiving loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers, after signing another veteran in Adam Thielen, look to grab a win as plus 230 road dogs. However, I don't think that the Steelers are going to get this one done this week. Both teams sitting at 6-6 at 500. The Ravens have looked better as of late. Yes, they had a letdown on Thanksgiving. Those holiday games can be a tough spot, and Joe Burrow did come back, which put some spark into that Cincinnati team. However, the Steelers team is absolutely reeling. The fans calling for the head of Mike Tomlin, booing their own Renegade song at home, and now they're on the road going to M&T Bank Stadium. They're going to have their hands full with a loaded Ravens offense. The thing that is scaring me with these Ravens is that Lamar Jackson has not looked healthy as of late. The turnovers last week, very unlike him, the multiple at time MVP looking to right the ship. However, they're going to have to use Derrick Henry pretty early and often. Last week, he only received about 10 carries, averaging 6.6 yards per ground carry on the ground, and finding pay dirt. He probably will once again this week. However, they have to get the offense moving fully. Zay Flowers needs to be able to be involved, not pushing off the end zone and actually converting those 6 points. Meanwhile, Mark Andrews, who just signed an extension with the team, will have to be a go-to security blanket for Lamar Jackson, along with Isaiah Likely on the outside. That two-headed snake of a tight end can be a beast of an offense for those Ravens. Meanwhile, the Steelers are still trying to figure out what's up. Aaron Rodgers leaving the game last week. Drew, I do not think the Steelers cover here. I think it's an absolute blowout here this week. I think that Chris Boswell is going to be the leading point scorer for this team, and they're going to struggle to put points on the board once again. That Ravens defense has been flying and playing well lately. The Ravens are due. I think this is their division to win. They are the best team in this division for a reason. That's why they were the favorites coming into the year. Steelers started off hot, but they've been reeling a bit late. Let's go with a Derrick Henry touchdown on the Ravens on the money line. I think that's a good parlay right there. Henry 2 TDs, not a bad one to look at, Michael, but let's parlay that Derrick Henry touchdown with the Ravens on the money line. I think that's going to be a plus play that we can all lock in. Povo's asking Lamar or Sam Darnold today. I like Lamar in this one. I think he's going to have a good game at home here. I know he's been injured and not putting up the stats we're expecting as of late. But this Steelers defense isn't the Steelers defense that we're used to. And that Seahawks game, there's potential that they blow them out and they don't have to throw as much. So one thing I'm worried about with that game, Waller 2 TDs for the Jets. I don't think that's a bad play at all. I think we can just stick with the one, though. You're already getting good enough value there, Michael. Someone's asking Terry or Watson. Let's go Christian Watson. He's been on absolute fire. Jumping into the Colts and Jaguars game here at 1 p.m. That's another good game here, right? We're fighting for that AFC South division. Hampton, Shakir in the flex. We're going to go with Shakir. You know, Hampton, we got to wait and see. Shakir should have a lot of opportunities against that Bengals defense. They're pretty leaky. You wager failed it. Yeah, I mean, Michael, I like that. Let me know if you got anything else to go with. Let's go with 1 TD and 2 TDs. Do that full unit on that one and then a half unit on the two. Might as well. That's not a bad way to do it. I like that play a lot. Make some value either way. I do think he finds the end zone, has a good day. But jumping into this Colts and Jaguars game, basically a pick 'em. The Colts are a road favorite at 1.5 points. Jaguars plus 108 home dogs. It's going to be some pretty sloppy weather there. So we're going to lean on the run game there, and that does favor the Indianapolis Colts. I've been kind of fading them lately. I don't think they're as good as they've been. Their record showed a few weeks ago, but I do think they win in this spot here. Trevor Lawrence has been kind of a letdown. Liam Cohen's been a great coach down there in Jacksonville, revitalizing them. Both tied at 8-4 here. If he gets my money back from placing both, yeah, that's not a bad play. I mean, I would like where I take some money on the win on the Waller touchdown, but the 2+, you know, I'd put a lower unit. It's not the safest play. Sometimes those Dolphins don't really get in the end zone, and most of the time it's at least A-Chain. So they put up 3 touchdowns today. A-Chain's doing 1, and then maybe Waller for 1. If you can get 2, kudos to you. But back to this Colts-Jaguars game. Yeah, I'm sticking with the Colts here. I think they're the stronger team all around. Carly Ursay-Gordon on the sidelines too, so that's pretty crazy to see. But I think Jonathan Taylor has a strong game. He's been kind of held in check the last few weeks. We were just discussing him as potential MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and I think he's going to be fighting for that one still. And I think he does find the end zone here this week. Look for ETN to have a strong game. Look for Jacoby Myers to be heavily involved. A lot of people like Brenton Strange this week. If you need a plug and play tight end, it's not a bad one to look into. But for touchdown scores, I like Jonathan Taylor to get in here. I think Tyler Warren does as well. Danny Dimes is going to be efficient with the ball. Maybe he runs one too. Michael asking Lawrence rushing TD. Not super confident in that unless they get inside that 2-yard line, maybe the 1-yard line. Will BTJ do anything? No, I'm not confident in him at all. I like Jacoby Myers more than Brian Thomas Jr., which is crazy to say. I think he has a bounce back season next year, but this sophomore slump is for real. And I don't think it comes out this week against the Colts. I don't expect a shootout game. I expect it played close to the vest. Two divisional opponents going head to head with so much on the line. It's going to be lower scoring here. Give me the Colts to cover. If you want to say 1.5 is even a cover, let's just take them on the money line to be safe. We'll take the Colts minus 125. Jonathan Taylor in the end zone. Let's go Colts to win. Jonathan Taylor to score. Maybe sprinkle on a little Tyler Warren and Jacoby Myers. Don't mind those either. Jumping into our next game here, Bengals, Bills, absolute banger. Fire up all of your fantasy players in this game. I mean, these two defenses can't really stop much. This Bills team, though, is looking for a win. I do expect them to win out right here. Minus 280 on the money line. Maybe the Bengals keep it close. You get them at +6. You tease them up to double-digit points, too. That's not a bad thing to look at. Joe Burrow's having playing well since he's been back. Joe Flacco had him playing well, too. Jamar Chase, he's great out there. Yossi Vash, Tinsley, T. Higgins, Gesicki, Chase Brown, whoever it is, that offense can put points up. But we all know the weakness of this Bengals team. It's that defense. They can't do anything. Michael's saying a Chase Brown TD. I mean, I would look more towards a James Cook TD as my lock in this one, just because that Bills defense can be a little bit tougher, and they're at home. It's starting to get a little bit colder. Buffalo, when they're at home, can be a tough team to beat. I do think Chase Brown finds the end zone, but he hasn't been doing it too much this year. One thing that surprised me is the lack of production that he's had. Maybe it's due to that inefficient O-line. Maybe it's the loss of Joe Burrow. Yeah, with everybody back in the mix, he should find the end zone here. But I think a safer play is definitely on James Cook to find the end zone. I know he's a much heavier favorite. Chase Brown coming around even, and James Cook like 2.5 to 1. So we don't really love that. But we can stick with it again here. I think we can go with the favorite parlay with the running back to get in. I think another one to look at is Josh Allen. He just set the record for most touchdowns by a quarterback in NFL history last week. Him to get in the end zone here this week's about minus 140. Not a bad one to throw on. Some people talking about some other props here. I think you can ladder play Jamar Chase. I think he sees a lot of targets this week. And I like the over here in this game as well. I think there's going to be a lot of points going in both ways. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Next one jumping up is the Bears and the Packers. Crazy that the Chicago Bears are atop that NFC North, right? They're atop that NFC. They're one of the big dogs out there, and they're plus 250 favorites on the money line today. Is anybody in the chat taking these Bears to win the game? I mean, it's possible. I think I'm kind of leaning on that, but the Packers look so good, especially on Thanksgiving, being the Detroit Lions. That was a massive statement when they're saying they're still here fighting for their playoff lives, because that NFC is pretty tough. I mean, you got the Niners fighting around there, the Lions hanging around after their win on Thursday Night Football over the Dallas Cowboys. So there's a lot going on there. I think there's a lot of points. Ben Johnson's come into that Chicago offense, kind of revitalized it. Those trick plays they're running. How about the run game he's put together, the scheme to get those guys moving? Both Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift looking good coming out of that backfield. There's no Romo Odunze this week. Let's monitor that. Luther Burden will step up in his absence alongside DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, maybe a few more targets going his way. Caleb Williams has looked as advertised, though. Last year, not so much. With a legit coach now and a legit offensive coordinator, he's turning into a solid piece in that offense. Defense still a little suspect in my opinion. I do think there's a good amount of points here. I know it's divisional games, so sometimes we're like, I don't know. But let me know if you're riding with that Bears plus 255 on the money line. Crazy to see as such a good winning team in plus 6.5. I'm going to take the dogs here. I'm taking this value. I think that's too many points to give them. Maybe you take the points, maybe you take the value. But even if you tease them up, you're getting the Bears at double digits. I mean, they're at least hanging around in this one, and they're scoring points too. Meanwhile, on the other side, I think Christian Watson has a strong game. He's looked really good. Dobbs will get the targets. Watson will get in the end zone. Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, they look good coming out of the backfield too. And no Tucker Kraft is one thing that worries me. Jordan Love, I know it's Toyotathon right now, and he's absolutely great during Toyotathon. They even made a sports card about it, which is crazy to me. But Yeah, I'm gonna go against him here. Sorry, Jordan Love. Sorry, Toyota Thon. Give me the value on the Bears. I think it's too juicy to pass up. Jumping in with our last game here, an absolute banger on Sunday Night Football. The Houston Texans, who we thought we were absolutely dead when we saw Davis Mills take over at quarterback, are right there in the mix again. And they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, a team on the outside looking in, many pegging them as Super Bowl favorites. But they have the better record, 7-5 going into Arrowhead. Chiefs sitting at 6-6, a 4-point favorite. The Kansas City Chiefs are at home, and the Texans coming at plus 160 on the money line. The over/under only at 41.5. I know that Houston defense is number one ranked in the league for a reason. I know Spagnola's defense can get going really well, but Patrick Mahomes in the prime time tends to play his best football. I'm looking for Mahomes to have one of his vintage games here and lead his team to victory. Keep them in that playoff hunt. I think this Texas team on offense struggles. I don't think they're as good as they actually are. And C.J. Stroud under duress behind that weak offensive line. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough sledding for him. They got Nico Collins involved heavily last week. He found pay dirt. Some of those young guys on the outside, Higgins, along with you got the veteran Schultz too, but Hutchinson and who's that third guy there, or fourth receiver there? It's slipping my mind right now. But those young guys alongside Nico Collins don't scare me too much. And Woody Marks and Nick Chubb leading the backfield isn't strong. But Patrick Mahomes is going to be running for his life, but he's been doing it all year long. The feet have shown this year. They haven't had a true run game, and he's going to be under pressure by those elite edges led by Will Anderson Jr. Look for Rashee Rice to have a strong game across the middle of the field. Look for Travis Kelce to be heavily involved. It's a tough matchup here on paper against that defense, but I'm taking the defending AFC champions for a reason. There's a reason they have this mini dynasty going. I think they win this game outright. I think this is going to be a good one today. I think some of my favorite bets outside of these games we're looking at, I like Derrick Henry to find Pater. I think he's automatic against the Steelers this week. Titans and Browns is going to be a good one to watch. Joe Gallucci tap it in here. They better show more Taylor and her friends. Then I don't care who wins. Yeah, I mean, maybe you watch the Patriots game. They got Cardi B in the stands. That might be a better one to watch out for. But Taylor Swift, never a bad one to see there, too. But she told me Travis Kelce is scoring the prime time tonight. Just got a text from her, so we can confirm that. So lock that one in. I think it's not a bad play. Derrick Henry as well. Also, some other ones to look at. I think a nice 3-team parlay, safe, about a plus 100, would be the Ravens, the Buccaneers, and the Broncos. I think that's not a bad play. If you want to add in the Seahawks, get a little frisky too. That's a nice 4-team parlay right there. Could be safe. Could be nice to look at. I think that the Rams, Blake Corum, I think that's an interesting thing to watch out for. Blake Corum and Darren Waller, two names with higher value that I think could have a chance at finding pay dirt today. I think the Broncos are an absolute lock. Look at R.J. Harvey to find the end zone. He's sitting around plus 100 to minus 120. He got in twice last week. He's going to do it again this week and prove why he is the running back one, why he was selected so highly by Sean Payton's offense. Other than that, you got Shadur Sanders going up against Cam Ward. That should be a fun game to watch. Commanders and Vikings, I mean, two quarterbacks that have a lot of promise, and they're both always hurt. Jaden Daniels is playing this week at least, so they're favored by a point here. But we got 9 back in Minnesota. Can't be worse than Max Brosmer was. So he wasn't too good himself 2 weeks ago. That'll be interesting to see. Jones is active too, alongside Jordan Mason. Maybe they'll get Justin Jefferson the ball a bit more. Maybe a squeaky wheel treatment for Justin Jefferson. I'll look into those receiving props. But stay tuned for our plays. It should be a good one here today. Excited to see some of these high marquee matchups like the Ravens and the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Texans. Should be a good one. Stay tuned for our official picks throughout. You know where to find us. HitTheBooks.pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Rumble, wherever you get your stuff. We got the podcast coming out Wednesdays every week, and we'll be back here next week on Sunday with some more. So definitely stay tuned, and thanks for joining today.